Hi, thank you for joining us today for our next installment of the Post-Secondary Info Series. Today we're here with Dalhousie University and our friend Jackson Spencer, who is a recruitment coordinator. I understand you also work a bit with the admissions office. Really neat kind of recruiting and being able to have that point of view as well. He's going to be telling us today a bit about the experience at University of Dalhousie. For those of you that don't know, it is located in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I didn't even introduce myself, so I'll go ahead and introduce myself now. My name is Richard. I'm your student service representative. So let's have Jackson just tell us a bit more. You're an alumni, I understand as well. You studied there.
Yes.
So it's going to be coming straight from the horse's mouth. Tell us a bit more about Dalhousie and why, if a student's out there thinking about maybe what university to go, why should they consider Dalhousie?
Sure. Yes, we are located in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is quite important for those who want to know our context. So it's about a 2-hour flight away from Ontario. So for those students who live in the region, it is a comfortable distance. And just like the sign behind me, we quite literally want you to get up and go further with our location. So yeah, I just graduated over a month ago. I did a business degree at Dalhousie in our Faculty of Management,
Nice.
And I had a great time. So I'm really happy to be working for the Admissions and Registrar Department, just to be able to give students the information that they, want to know. Just like you mentioned, straight from the horse's mouth. So giving them, the experience of my personal time at Dalhousie, but letting them know about our programs and our offering, and trying to make that transition as easy as possible to university.
For sure. Now, something that I found, as I was telling you, I've had the pleasure of visiting Halifax before, kind of a small town feel. I mean, it's a big city, and when I asked how big Dalhousie was, I was a bit surprised. Tell us how big it is.
Yeah, so in terms of the Canadian landscape of universities, we are sitting at about a medium-sized, 20,000 students in total, and just around 14,000 at the undergraduate level. And the city of Halifax is one of Canada's fastest growing cities at the moment. And we have the demographic of our students really reflects the city of Halifax. So Halifax is Atlantic Canada's most multicultural city. And we have about 60% of our students which are out of province, and 22% being international students.
So say those numbers again. Out of province,
yes.
How many?
So out of province, 60%.
60.
And 22% are international students.
Wow.
And the actual languages, the top languages spoken in Halifax are, first is English, and then Arabic, and Mandarin after that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so quite multicultural and diverse, which the city of Halifax and Dalhousie both reflect each other.
Wonderful. That's really neat. Now, tell us a bit about the programs that are offered at Dalhousie. Can a student expect to find kind of, I'll say the standard, for lack of a better term, programs available there? And also, what would be the more unique ones that are kind of native to Dalhousie?
For sure. Well, we offer over 200 programs and 130 master's and PhD programs, and it works out to about 4,000 classes. So there's lots available to take at Dal. We have faculties at the undergraduate level in computer science, engineering, management, arts and social sciences, as well as traditional science, and health science. And then we also have law, medicine, dentistry, nursing, so lots of programs. Unique to our region, we do have, for the size of our university, quite large faculty. So the engineering department and faculty is the largest in Atlantic Canada, as well as our computer science faculty is quite large for Atlantic Canada. And we have a great collaboration with University King's College, which is on our property as well. A small but lively liberal arts college.
Nice.
So there are about 1,000 students, and they offer great programs with a foundation year program, which looks at the history of ideas, as well as you can take journalism. So those are 2 of their flagship programs. I'd say popular programs at Dalhousie specifically. It's no surprise that being on the East Coast and close to the ocean, marine biology is a hot program at Dal. And at our closest, we're about actually 300 to 400 meters from the ocean, so very close. So marine biology and the science. As well, we have a great medical science program for those interested in the medical field.
Nice.
In our theater program, we have costume studies, which is quite unique to the region. In management, Bachelor of Commerce, what I took, is a great program, especially with the integrated co-op. And I know we'll talk about our co-op and sort of experiential learning that we offer at Dal, but great ways to get involved on our campus as well. Not to forget our agricultural campus, which is specific to Truro, Nova Scotia. So. We acquired the Agricultural College of Nova Scotia, I believe, less than 10 years ago. So it's our own faculty of 1,000 students, about an hour north of Halifax, but we actually have Canada's only on-site teaching farm facility. So those who are interested in getting hands-on experience, maybe want to go into veterinary school, we can give you all of those animal encounters and experiences having that facility on our hands. And
that's neat.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me before we started, the Truro, Nova Scotia was voted, what was it voted, or what was it
Yes,
ranked?
it's by TripAdvisor ranked the most friendliest community in the Maritimes.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So it just goes to attest the small East Coast atmosphere and community lifestyle of some of our campuses at Dal.
Right, which is no doubt represented in even your Halifax campus.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I find very neat. Now, you said, you referenced there are some co-op options. Why don't you tell us about that? Jackson, I think that a lot of times students are really, especially now, looking for like hands-on learning while they're doing their undergrad. So maybe you can tell us a bit more about the co-ops there?
Sure. So hands-on learning is, of course, super important for every experience that you would receive. And we like to, I'll offer that as well as Dalhousie. And we call it experiential learning. And 90% of our students actually take part in this type of learning.
Wow.
Most commonly it is a formal co-op program. But we do have programs that have other opportunities instead of a co-op. So you'd be looking at lab time, research time that you'd be available to take, working with, professors and researchers in your faculty, as well as just getting hands-on experience through practicums and even international exchanges.
Perfect. Now, so you mentioned something there, working with the professors and teachers and research and stuff like that. So then they're really, even though it is 20,000 undergraduate students, there's still the possibility to have that small community even within your school, isn't there?
For sure. So 14,000 undergraduate students, but
Sorry,
20,000, that's okay,
Total.
20,000 overall students. But yes, when you get into your second, third, and fourth year, our class sizes are average about 50 to 90 students. So you are getting that time. And in the first years, like many universities with the large classes, we have, allotted time to have lab and tutorial experience. So you get that one-on-one where we cap it around 50 students to receive that one-on-one time with the teaching assistant or sometimes even the professor. Just ask any questions because it's super important and definitely a consideration for your classes as a student from in high school.
Yeah, that's great. And to be able to learn hands-on, I think that really kind of solidifies everything for a long time, hopefully forever.
Absolutely.
Tell us a bit more. I was intrigued by your medical school and some of those, could I say, sought-after courses, not just in Dalhousie, but really all over Canada. What are the requirements, like the admission requirements that a student may be looking to go specifically to medical school, and then maybe in general as a whole, what should a student be looking for if he or she wants to attend Dalhousie?
For sure. So medical school is a great option, but first and foremost, to get into a graduate degree, you do need the 4-year undergraduate degree.
Right.
So I am more than happy to help you with that first 4 years, and then we can look at getting in contact with those individuals while you're taking your degree, just to make sure that you have all your classes. For instance, lab or science with the lab time for some of our like medicine and dentistry might be required. So primarily, for every graduate degree, you do need undergraduate, and that can be anything. At our medical school, we actually don't require that you take something science or medical related to get into our medicine program. Nice. For instance, we have an individual at Dalhousie who completed a Bachelor of Music, but she was able to take sort of the requirements needed in her undergraduate degree. So just a great example of how you don't have to have a science background to get into our medical school.
So essentially anything can be pre-med. you're studying there.
Essentially, yeah. And for students who do want to, who want to become a lawyer, a doctor, or a dentist or a vet, if that's their main goal, we always encourage to follow their passions in their undergraduate degree.
Sure.
And maybe take something that's more of an interest or a passion that they can sort of discover in their undergraduate degree and then move on to their goal of becoming a doctor.
For the example, that student you referenced,
Yes.
music, that's kind of neat.
Exactly.
Now, as far general admission requirements for undergraduate students, so a student right now, maybe a student with virtual high school wants to attend Dalhousie, what are they trying to achieve?
Sure. So to get into Dalhousie, the program with the most relaxed requirements is our Bachelor of Arts. And we're looking at grade 12 English for every one of our programs.
Okay.
And compared to an Ontario school, we only look at your 5 grade 12 courses.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yes, yeah, so a little bit different. We'll always require the English and then a few call-outs. So for a Bachelor of Arts, which includes programs like music, theater, psychology, you'd be looking at the English and 4 other courses on your transcript to equate a minimum average of 70% to apply.
Wonderful. Okay, 70%. Now, we have a lot of students here at Virtual High School that are applying to Dalhousie or maybe already applying and wanting to kind of catch up on other courses. For an Ontario student out there looking to apply to Dalhousie, kind of out of province, all that stuff, there's no issues then. Obviously taking the entire curriculum, I know that's a common question, and you're able to help them out with the equivalents, for lack of a better term, from Ontario to Halifax or Nova Scotia, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So with math, for instance, there's a lot of different maths in every province.
Yes.
So with Ontario, we're looking at data management as the minimum required math for some of our programs.
Perfect.
And then if the program requires an advanced math, we'd be looking at advanced functions or calculus and vectors.
Got it.
But if they've taken more than one, essentially we'll take their highest grade in each of those mathematics to be included in that group of 5 courses.
So if any student has a doubt of what course to take, or if the course he or she has taken, they can contact the admissions office, might even talk to you.
Yeah, I would say please contact me. I have a really easy email to remember. It's just my first name at dal.ca.
Wonderful.
So Jackson at dal.ca. So I'd be more than happy to help, as it's a big undertaking for sure, moving from a different province to school. So I just want to make it the easiest transition as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And having, you said 60% out of province, right? Is that what you said? So you're
Yes.
obviously used to the process anyway.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of help for our students here in Ontario. Let me ask you a few more questions that are very common from our students. One is scholarships. You guys offer scholarships, particularly maybe to out-of-province students as well. How does that work?
Absolutely. So for our scholarships, we have a pool of about $24 million that goes into undergraduate funding. Yeah, so lots to go around. And this is in the form of our Entrance Award Scholarship. So it's open right now for application as well as our admissions application. And essentially, we're looking at who you are as an overall individual for this. So we're drawing on not only your transcript, but looking at sort of your volunteer experience, your extracurricular activities, as well as your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for the future to apply. And then we give about a month and a half to assess your application, which is due on March 1st, by the way. So we give a month and a half to assess, and then you will have heard of your decision based on your application within the month and a half from March 1st. And our scholarships range from awards of $500 to the ultimate prize of about $42,000 for your academic career.
Well, regardless
Lots
of
to
what
go
you
around.
get, every little bit helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we were really happy to give out 1,400 awards last year to individual students.
Wow, that's great. I like the fact that you look at more than just how they are academically. I mean,
For sure.
a lot of things make up what a person is, right? Not just necessarily what it looks like on paper. That's neat.
Yes.
I really like that a lot. Now, we've already talked about the demographics and international students. How, if an international student out there wants to go to Dalhousie, what's kind of the first step? What assistance do you provide once they get to campus? How does that work with your 22%, you said, international?
Yeah, 22% international students. And we have a great resource center for international students, which is sort of their go-to to help with anything navigating Canada, helping out with just day-to-day things. And we have a lot of support, not just for domestic and in-province students, but for every student at Dal, whether this be a multi-faith center, as well as our walk-in clinic for students who need to seek like physical and mental health, but lots of support available. For them to start, I would say going on our website for dal.ca, and we have lots of great links for those incoming to our campus, incoming to the city of Halifax, as well as they can get updates on upcoming events, as we're doing events in Toronto starting this week.
Nice.
As well as connecting with an advisor is sort of the first step and that first contact that you will receive. So individuals like myself and my team who'd be able to help them out and answer all the questions, especially coming from a country that's not in North America or outside of Canada.
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting.
Absolutely.
It's good to have that support. Now, as far as residents, in-campus residents, is there maybe guaranteed residence for first-year students? How does that work?
Absolutely. So we have residents. We have 8 different residence buildings in Halifax, and 7 are on our Studley campus, which is our largest campus in Halifax.
Perfect.
And all of our rooms are guaranteed for a room once you apply by our deadline. So as long as the student applies before June 15th, they will receive a room in Halifax, so they don't have to worry about finding off campus. And it's a great way to start your undergraduate degree on campus. And we have meal halls that are also provided to our students.
Nice.
So make sure they're fed and well taken care of. But the best part about our residents is not only that they're 24 hours secured and the incredibly fast Wi-Fi that they come with. 80% of our rooms are actually single rooms.
Nice.
So the idea of coming to university and having to have a roommate, we kind of consider old-fashioned, unless if they do want to, of course. And the 20% that remain, you're looking at more apartment style. So in your second or third or fourth year, for instance, if you still want to live on campus but have some roommates in a common space, a great option for that as well.
Nice. Lots of options, and you're kind of easing them in.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole experience.
And we have video profiles on our YouTube channel, so you're able to go and see, what the inside is like of all of our residence rooms.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, we've talked a lot about the academics and even living on campus, the scholarships, which I think is wonderful. Tell us a bit more about the extracurricular activities and that are offered there at Dalhousie.
Yeah, so we have lots of options to, break up your class schedule and get involved with the community in Halifax and Dalhousie. So it's great, and we find students are most successful when they do participate in extracurricular activities as well with their studies. So for instance, to start, we have lots of teams available to play sports, for instance, on like a varsity level or a club level or intramural. So in Halifax, some of our popular options are hockey, and volleyball, track and field. But if you don't want to commit all the time to a varsity level, we do have many different club teams. In Halifax, we have sailing, rowing, we have swimming, as well as ultimate frisbee, and then inner tube water polo, which is quite nice. So lots of options to choose from. In addition to that, we have over 400 student societies and clubs on campus, so a great way to get involved. Most likely every single faculty will have their own society, which is a great way for students to get involved in their first year, and then work up to more management role in their fourth year, possibly doing event planning or coordinating social activities for their class.
That's neat. I remember that in university, that's a lot of fun, but it's also good, like you just mentioned, working up to the management level. It's good for your resume and earning those kind of hard
Absolutely.
Skills.
And again, it's, hands-on experience.
Yeah, perfect. That's really neat. Last thing I kind of want to ask you before we end this, Jackson. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Halifax. I visited once and I loved it. But if a student is kind of deciding what university to go to and maybe they're on the fence, what would you say is your kind of a calling card as far as Dalhousie?
Absolutely. So to start, it's right on the ocean. It's, you're really no more than a 20-minute walk from the ocean on any side of Halifax, as it's a peninsula. There's over 30 beaches within city limits. So you have great surfing as well as some great, sandy or rock beaches. And Peggy's Cove is one of them. You mentioned that you were there. Yep. So a great tourist attraction. It's great in September. You're still going to get that, summer weather. And then going into the fall, you'll start your classes. classes. So it's a great coastal community, and you do get that, small town university experience, but in a metropolitan city that has its offerings. So we are about 30,000 residents in Halifax. And as of one of Canada's fastest growing cities, it's quite accessible, not only to our airport, but to all sorts of amenities, a great arts and music scene, lots of great restaurants and traditional maritime food available, as well as lots to do, especially if you do love nature, getting out, to the ocean. So a great calling for students, no matter what their background for their undergraduate career.
For sure. Well, Jackson, that sounds wonderful, and I can imagine that if Dalhousie is any bit like Halifax itself, it's a wonderful place to be. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. If you are thinking about Dalhousie or haven't even considered it, and now you are and have more questions, reach out to us. We can get you in touch with Dalhousie, Jackson, or anyone there that might be able to help you. If you already know where you're going to go and maybe want to share this with someone that could potentially benefit from Dalhousie, it sounds like a great option. Make sure you share it with them. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can even follow us on Twitter if you're not already. And you can stay in touch about what our next post-secondary info series is going to be. Jackson, thanks again so much for joining us. And thank you for joining us. Have a great day.